Hi, Marisol. Thank you for coming today. What is something you would like to change about yourself?
I would like to get more sleep and go to bed earlier.
Okay. And suppose you succeed in accomplishing this stage or this change, I'm sorry. How would things be different for you?
Things would be different because I would be more well rested and have more energy, be more alert.
Okay. And so you said you would feel like you had more energy.
Yes, definitely having more energy and focus.
And what would be some of the payoffs or benefits if you made this change?
Um, I think my health would overall be improved. I think, when you get more, or at least when I get more sleep, like I drink less coffee. I feel like I'm more active. I'm happier. I um, probably like eat less sugar because I'm not as tired. I don't feel like I need as much energy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that's it.
And what do you think, if there's any, would be some of the risk to you or to others if you made this change?
I think in order for me to go to sleep earlier, I need to start saying no to things, um, like get-togethers, or if someone needs help with something, or someone wants to hang out, like I need to just say no. And so I think technically, like I could risk um, offending someone, or maybe I could risk like not having as close of a friendship with some people because I'll have to like cut back on things. So that, I guess that could technically be a risk.
Okay. Um, and looking at where you are now and where would you like to be, what do you think some steps, um, what are some steps along the way to get there from here to there?
I think some steps would definitely be making, like, establishing boundaries for myself. And I think what really gets me is like doing schoolwork really late at night, because then I'm staring at a screen for like hours and then my brain is like turned on because I've been looking at light. So I think first, like setting boundaries as to times where I'm going to do schoolwork and making sure
Mhm.
that I plan to get my work done or what I need to get done for that day earlier. Um, so making that a priority, and then saying no to more things, like maybe saying, okay, I'm going to do 4 outings this week after work, or just three, or maybe, but just setting my boundaries ahead of time. That way I say no to things if it's going to make me stay up really late after doing schoolwork. So I think those are some steps. I think those are two steps that will really help me.
Okay. And identify anticipated interferences or obstacles that might interfere with this. But I mean, it sounds like you kind of already did. Some of those could be your friends and also, setting boundaries between work and your schedule at least. Does that sound right?
Mhm.
Could you identify resources that you would need or use to acquire and attain your goal?
Resources. Ooh, let's see. I think one resource could be like a plan, using my planner, and just blocking out certain times where I'm gonna do my schoolwork, and that way I'll know like something's due that night. I am not going to help anyone do anything or hang out with anyone. Like this is schoolwork, and I'm gonna get it done by 10, and then I'm gonna go to bed. So I think I could definitely use a planner, and maybe like someone that I could just um, talk through. This is weird, but I process things through speaking. So sometimes if I need like advice or input, um, maybe just someone to run things by, to get advice, make sure I'm making like a wise decision. So if I choose not to go to my friend's birthday party because I'm overloaded, um, having someone to bounce that off of, because they might be like, ooh, that's not a good thing to cut. Like that would be really offensive. So I think that's another resource I could use as like a trusted friend.
Okay. And how would you evaluate your progress towards this outcome?
If I had to come up with like a concrete way of measuring it, because I think before I was just thinking like, oh, just get more sleep. But if
Mhm.
I had to actually measure it, I think I would say be in bed with the lights off um, by no later than 11 p.m. every night. Um, and on a good night, maybe 10. So I think keeping a strict time schedule would help me measure, and I either do it or I don't.
Yeah, I can see how that could help. So let's do something a little different. Let's assume that you were sleeping and a miracle happened, and your problem of sleeping late was no longer a problem. It was solved while you slept, only you don't know that because you were sleeping. So how would you know this problem has been solved?
I would wake up, and the first thing I think is like I wouldn't snooze. I would get out of bed and feel like somewhat alert. So that's the first thing I would notice. Um, and I think I would probably then think about my day and what I had to do that day. And I would feel like what the commitments that I made for that day would be acceptable, and I would know I wouldn't feel overwhelmed because I'd be like, okay, I can do this within a reasonable amount of time, and then I can actually like go back to sleep at a decent time.
So what would be different about what you just said? And,
Like, how would that be different from what I'm doing now?
mhm.
I think I would just be more organized, and my head would be just more clear. I'd feel more like I had a grasp on my schedule.
Do you think that significant people, or what would significant people notice different about you?
I think people would notice that like I was more alert, I was more focused. I probably would be a little more animated. Because when I'm really, really sleepy on like bad days, it's like hard, it's just hard to
Mhm.
stay focused. So I think people would notice that I'm like really focused and engaged all the time. And they'd probably notice I looked a little bit less like stressed out because I think they would just notice I was more relaxed.
Okay. And what do you think you would be doing different?
I think I would be more disciplined, um, definitely more disciplined. Like when I get home, I would have a plan. I think I would be saying no to things if it was too much to fit into my schedule. Um, I think that those are two things I would be doing. And I'd just be more deliberate with my time. And again, like I said, like doing schoolwork earlier in that evening. And then if I need to do something else, then doing that later. That way I'm not on screens late at night. So
Mhm.
those are some things I'd be doing differently.
Okay. And just from what our conversation, I would say that you're in the preparation stage. It sounds to me that you know what your problem is, and you know what you may need to do in order to achieve your goal. Just sleep a little more and get more rest throughout the night. Um, so that's what I would say.
Awesome.